I guess that means I'm up. Oh boy.
Who are you?
I'm Jim.
Really?
And anyway, my talk tonight is about go for the goal. I think that the goal would be just wonderful if you could go for the goal as well, because when you obtain it, you're going to be happy. If you set your goal as gold, you have to set aside an awful lot of other things, perhaps, in order to get there, to find that gold. If it's in the ground, I have to tell you, I studied mining engineering my first college that I went to, so have some little knowledge of that. You got to go out and you got to move a lot of rocks, a lot of rocks. But you have to maintain a positive attitude as to I'm going to find it, and somehow if you really just don't give up, you will find it. My wife has found gold up in Canada, wow. And some also precious stones and what have you. But the idea is that you might not find it when you first start out. It may take a long time, maybe even take years. But if your focus is to find it, you will. And this is very true of any goal that you set for yourself. You work along at it, you keep learning a little bit more about it, and somehow the universe seems to come into play at some point in this venture, and pretty soon you found it. I'd like to just, if you will, go back to one of my early adventures in industry, and just tell you about it. This isn't to blow my horn. It's to tell you something about what can be when you set a goal, and to work at it and know that somebody's going to benefit from it, and you keep on experimenting. I did a lot of blending of different materials, detergents and solvents, and on and on and on, to accomplish various things. And if you'll bear with me, I'll tell you about a couple of them. Company came along, Clausen Tank Company, paint company. They furnished a lot of materials, equipment, and what have you to the auto industry. And initially they came to my company, our company, excuse me, Beverly, to find some way to clean up a sensing device that they used inside the Chrysler engine to tell the engine spark plugs when to fire. And that was up in the upper part of Michigan here. And so we worked out a cleaning product to be able to clean the metals there, and that got me into a bit of what we know of as electropolishing, which is removing a layer of electrons from a most generally stainless steel or metal, and it makes it so smooth that even bacteria can't cling to it. Well, then looking around and saying, well, where can we use this, and what can we do with it? We found that we could apply that same technology to implants into people's bodies for artificial joints and what have you. Before they went in, they had to be clean, and the bacteria couldn't cling to it. So we applied that to a different area, and we're quite successful at it. And we did this. Then we went down to the paint or to the Clausen Tank Company and said, "Hey, let's electropolish the inside of paint pots for the auto industry." And they were able, prior to this electropolishing that we proposed, they were able to get about 75% of the paint that they put into the pot out and onto the cars. And with the electropolishing, because it smoothed up the surface more of that paint pot, we were able to get 95% out. Well, that was quite a accomplishment. But you have to keep looking for these kind of things, looking for them all of the time. And that's going for the goal. That's going for the goal. What can this do? What can... And your emphasis is not on making a big pile of money. Your emphasis is on helping people to do the job better and easier. And we were able to do this in a lot of different areas. We worked out a process. One time, a company locally here in the area was furnishing a lot of stuff up to Alaska. And in order, they don't have a lot of roads up there, and they've got a lot more now than they had when I was doing this, but they had to fly everything in. Well, we made detergents and those types of products. So in order to help those folks up there, we developed a process by which we could concentrate the active ingredients in a drum of detergent, a 55-gallon drum of detergent, and put it all into 15 gallons. And therefore, then we put that into a bucket, and they could fly that into the different areas where the roads didn't connect, and they had an awful lot of them in those days up there. So it made it much more efficient for their aircraft, a whole lot less to carry something that they needed into some of these remote areas. And there's opportunities like this over and over and over and over, and you've got to look for those opportunities and grab a hold of them. But we have negative and we have positive outcomes of different things. Different words mean different things. Negative words, negative, positive, and if you get an idea, for instance, when you're coming up with a potential goal, and if your body feels heavy, if your body, if you just are questioning, there's, say words. Will this help somebody? Will it not help somebody? Will it do what I propose it to do? Won't it do what I propose it to do? All of these things. How do you feel when you say each one of these words? You can get some positive results and you can get some negative results, and just feeling the words. In the medical field, for instance, one of the things that people are able to do, and I'd be glad to demonstrate it here if you wish me to do it, and that is that we have what we call kinesiology, which is muscle testing. And if you've ever been, have any of you ever been muscle tested? Okay, well, then maybe I don't need to demonstrate, but the idea is that if I say a negative word, you'll go weak. You'll go weak. You won't be able to, you couldn't fight off anything. But if you say something positive, just 2 words, love, you'll be strong as a bull. And if you say hate, you'll go weak. You say war, you'll go weak every time. Never had anybody ever not respond with those kind of words. And you can use some of those things maybe in determining, if you got a goal, if it's a good positive goal, stick with it, because the universe will help you, and you'll be able to accomplish what you're looking for and what you want to do. I would love to have anybody questions or
I have a question for you.
Okay.
When you talk about goals, and I have found this in my life, and I always wonder, if you're a person that doesn't have access to a lot of opportunities, just for whatever reasons, do you think the universe will still make something happen to bring something to you, or do you think because you're not actively seeking it?
Well, I think you have to ask for goals that are somewhat within your realm of life. Okay? I'm not saying you couldn't say, I want to be a billionaire and not accomplish it. I don't mean that.
No, I'll share with you. I'll share with you kind of what I'm talking about.
Within your goal of life, what are you doing in life? What's your profession? What's your desires for a profession? And they generally will be within the realm of your capabilities, that you will be able to do those things physically as well as mentally, and maybe have to use certain words to narrow it down. This is what I'd like to accomplish.
What I wanted to share with you, and the reason why I asked this is because, and I'll just share a personal story, and I find this very interesting. I always call it when the magic happens. I'm a professional photographer, and before I got into photography, I knew right away that at some point I wanted to take my photography and create graphic art to tell people's life stories. So when I met my guardian angel, it was a dream. And I had all these symbols in my dream, and I created one fine art piece of photograph to express that can be handed down for generation to generation that tells my story. And I knew I wanted to do this. At the time that I got into photography, I had no idea how to use Photoshop, Lightroom, so I knew it wasn't a goal that I could attain at the time. I had a lot to learn. So I've slowly, I'm an architectural photographer, but this was my goal. This is what I knew I wanted to do for people. So I'm not around a whole lot of people, because I do real estate photography during the day. So I typically go in and people kind of leave me.
Yeah.
Are you really? There you go.
We'll talk. Okay.
See how positive these things
But what I wanted to share is when I asked if you think the universe will bring things to you, because there's so often I think, I go out, I work, I come home, I edit all night, and then we have our family, and I really don't get to make a lot of contacts that might lead me to this. But 2.5 weeks
if you
ago,
hold it in your mind,
and that's exactly
and-
why I wanted to know if you had that
right,
experience.
if you hold it in your mind and say, even almost as a joke or whatever, however you want to put it.
I say that's
very,
the
very
magic
lightly. That just hey, how do I get there? What do I? And I'll guarantee you that you'll get there because somewhere, somehow along that line, that information is available out there, and the universe will give it to you. I would call it a universal law.
And that exact thing happened 2 weeks ago. I took myself to lunch at Nona's because we both had the flu for the first time in our lives, and it wasn't pretty. And I just was like, I need to get out of the house. I'll just go spend some time by myself. And I was sitting at a table, and I was kind of sketching on my thing, this idea that I had. And this woman walked in, and she kept looking at me and looking at me. And she sat at a table right next to me. And she just said, "Are you planning your life?" And I said, "Well, no, I'm doing this little sketch for an idea of this piece of art that I want to create." She runs hospice of West Michigan. And I ended up meeting with her and having lunch because she thinks that would be... So it does happen. I mean, it really, if it truly is something that is meant to happen, because a lot of people say you have to go out and actively always seek it. And then I think, well, God knows that I don't have the time to actively seek it, and I'm not one to brag about what I do. So that's kind of hard for me. So it's interesting that it does still happen. So I totally agree with you.
It happens all of the time. Nancy, you had
Well, I was just
something.
going to make a comment. What happened to you, Julia, is the law of attraction.
There you go.
The idea that with intent, which was a good intent, you thought about it, long and hard and with conviction and whatever. And so the universe brought you to this person and you connected.
It's a little, and I won't make it a secret any longer. I have been working on being able to stand up here. And I know a lot of people say, well, you've been doing that for years. But without any notes, without a lot of things. But being able to stand in front of everybody and think and do was my goal for the day. For a long I think that I'm getting there. And I want to tell you, yes.
You wanting some feedback, comments, or
Yes.
something? This is an open question, and not just for you. Is there anybody in this room that's really had positive experiences with doing what is called shadow work? Now, shadow work is like you're trying to go somewhere. Well, like for example, me, I've been trying to quite frankly, having a net worth of $1 million would be an achievement for me. So, in trying to get there and to get there, I would. I've been like pretty much living in affirmation heaven forever, and I'm still not a net worth of $1 million. So I'm tempted to do shadow work and see what this anchor is, how to release this anchor that's keeping me from where I claim, my conscious mind claims I want to go, and to actually look at the unconscious stuff that may be prohibiting me. And I'm just wondering who here, including you, especially you, might have some experiences with facing that. And I might not be alone. But let's see who's doing what. I don't know.
When you're looking for the answers to how to do this and what have you, it's very, very difficult to sometimes leave the doubts in your mind, or behind you, and the focus you need to. And we do. I've had some of those kind of same things that you're talking about, by where you have a little bit of doubt here behind or what have you, and you have to leave those things behind. But the way to leave those things behind is what I think is interesting and important, and that is. I ask the universe, because we're all. Let me go back just a point. Just a point. We're constantly emanating vibratory energies out to the universe, constantly. And what are these? Are thoughts. If they're in the form of thoughts, they're
I teach what you're talking about.
Okay, that's great.
This, and I still
you're always emanating these out into the universe.
Right.
Okay?
Sure. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So, what you have to do is, if you are having any inhibition or any inhibitive thoughts that are affecting what you want to come in,
right?
Okay, then those thoughts you have to get rid of, and I want to tell you how to get rid of them, and that is ask the universe to cancel that particular. Universe, I love you. I love everything out here. Would you please? I'm sorry. I'm having this inhibitive thought. Will you please erase it from my mind?
On all levels, on conscious
on
level.
all levels.
Yeah, I've done that. I'm doing that.
And at that point, then the universe is. You're not influencing the universe for any inhibitions that it might have to give you what you're asking for.
So be it.
And if you have to do it 100 or 1,000 times,
I'll do it as long as it takes, because I'm just not stopping. I'm just going.
Well, just continue, because apparently maybe you're just holding on to just a little bit of the negativity.
Or getting scattered. Yeah.
But ask the universe to forgive you for that thought. Forgive that. Clear it from your mind and your body. And erase it from your mind. Thank them. You don't want to have it. You're sorry that you got that thought.
Okay. So
and then thank the universe for doing it.
So what I'm hearing is you
I've used that technique over and over and over.
Yeah. So you don't do shadow work, and I'm just wondering if you did. And I'm just because I'm.
Well, I guess maybe I don't really understand the. I haven't studied that word or that technique.
Right. That's why I'm asking about it, because it's fairly messy.
Okay.
And I'm not so sure people don't use it to just manipulate others.
Well,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it.
Well, if I ever get study of it, then I'll have some idea. But
it's usually somebody that's a psychological authority that would recommend that.
You cannot depend on anybody else to do something before you do it.
Amen.
In other words, Mike here, I can say, boy, if Mike would think this or do this or this, then I would be happy, and I would be able to do this, and I would be able to do that, and I would be able to do something else. The universal law does not. We're taught to do that. Our government, our society. If somebody else will make me happy, but this is not part of universal law.
Yeah, all I was talking about is facing the unconscious mind from within me, facing whatever it might be that has so far prevented me from having the goal you know, well, a powerful music producer in the Great Lakes area that has a net worth of 1 million or more. And so what I'm talking about is just facing anything in me that is getting in the way of facing. I mean, if there was a Satan, I'd face him. I mean, I don't know what there is. To tell you the truth, I'm just willing. I'm just making a public statement that I am willing to do whatever work I need to do within me to face whatever darkness within me to move to the next step. And thank you for your support.
I got
Thank you. I will.
So many people want to comment. I'm just curious if you're recognizing that you have been prompted in one way or another, and consciously you know that you're not doing all the homework that you've been prompted to do. Because a lot of times I'll ask for something and I'm given plenty of different ways to go about it, but I'll do other things. I'll be distracted. So I'm not really following through with how I'm being guided, like the trail of breadcrumbs that's being given to me. So, which usually involves personal work, but also working out in the world too. So, thank you for letting me share.
Thank you.
Well,
Hey.
I wanted to say that I have done some shadow work. You can't do shadow work by thinking about it or talking about it. It's experiential. It's a good idea to be in a room with a very, very good instructor who is taking you through that. I happen to have had the honor with Debbie Ford before she died. But it's not something you resolve by talking about it. It's got to be, it is the subconscious mind that's healing the subconscious mind. And to do that, you have to be
In the subconscious mind.
Hello.
Okay. Cool. I know more now. Thank you.
Jim. Wonderful talk.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you.
I believe.
Okay.